Welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm Alex Kramer. Well, mental health concerns among teens have been a growing problem for parents across the whole country. And since the recent CDC study reporting almost 1 in 3 teenage girls with thoughts of suicide in 2021, people are now looking for an answer to this crisis. So for more on this, we're going to welcome in licensed psychologist and certified elite personal trainer, Renee Exelbert, and internist for Custom Care Medical, Dr. Frank Contessessa. Thank you both for joining us this morning. Dr. Frank, I will start with you. So that study also showed an increase in boys and girls who feel persistently sad or lonely. I mean, 50% of girls, 29% of boys. Those are extremely concerning numbers, Dr. Frank. I mean, are we putting enough focus on mental health?
Good morning, Alex. They are very concerning numbers. And no, I don't think we are putting enough emphasis on mental health. During the pandemic, kids were locked up in their houses. They weren't socializing with other children, and that really put a dent in things. And then I think social media has a lot to blame for this, too. We create this artificial world where, the most important thing is to get likes. The way these things are designed, it's sort of set up to make an addiction. When you get liked, when your posts or your videos get likes, there's a serotonin rush. There's an actual neurotransmitter pleasure reaction that happens, and it makes you crave more. So by isolating kids and making the only thing important their social media likes and their pretend friends on social media, we're really missing the boat on taking care of their overall mental health.
Absolutely. Renee, as you just heard Dr. Frank, he just mentioned social media and the impact that it's having on these young kids. It literally impacts the chemicals in your brain. As a licensed psychologist, can you expand on this?
Sure. I mean, they do actually get an addiction. It is a dopamine reward center hit. And so every time any of us go on social media, we're looking more and more for that dopamine hit. Children are biologically wired to want social acceptance. And social media is an opportunity for that, but it's also riddled with so many opportunities for rejection, cyberbullying, fear of missing out, social comparison, not feeling good enough.
Absolutely. I mean, you're seeing these images of celebrities and people you compare yourself with. You're always comparing, how many likes do I have? It really is, I think it's very harmful for these young kids. So Dr. Frank, moving on a little bit here. So TikTok is now limiting their screen time to an hour for younger kids. Do you think that this is going to have any impact?
Well, I hope it does. I have 2 daughters. I have a teenager and a tween, a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old. And just like everybody else, they're on TikTok all the time. We try to limit it as best we can. Setting these limits is a good start, but I think the problem is that kids are resourceful and they'll figure out a way around it. They'll create multiple accounts, and I think they'll figure out a way around it. I think it has to start in the home with parents. We're responsible for policing what our children do. And it's not easy. You have to be on them constantly. And it's a struggle that, I'm a father and a parent like everybody else. And we have the same challenges, but it takes effort and you have to do it. You have to watch what they're doing and you have to limit it because they'll just be on there constantly if you don't. It's a good start, but I don't think that's the end of it. It starts with the family.
Absolutely. Dr. Frank, I do want to stick with you for this next one. So there's now a TikTok challenge. It's called the Borg Drinking Challenge. It sent nearly 30 students at UMass to the hospital. So Borg stands for Blackout Rage Gallons. It's a mix of alcohol, which is a depressant, caffeine, and water. How dangerous is this?
It's potentially very dangerous. When you take multiple substances, when you're talking caffeine and alcohol, and then large amounts of water, you can throw off the electrolyte balances in the body. You can create swelling in the brain. This is crazy. We have to, again, start at home. We have to tell our kids when something doesn't make sense to you, when something seems dangerous, either come talk to us about it or just don't do it. It really has to start there. But this is potentially very dangerous, especially with young kids whose brains are still plastic and they're not fully formed yet. So this is really bad.
Absolutely. And kind of along the same lines, I want to talk to you about disordered eating, especially among young girls. When they use that social media, they're comparing their bodies to those heavily edited bodies that they see on those models. As a licensed psychologist, can you, give some insight into this and just how damaging this is for these young girls, especially?
It's extremely damaging, and not only for young girls, for boys as well, but we often hear about girls. They are watching fitness models, TikTok, Instagram influencers, and as you said, they are photoshopped, they're highly edited, and they're also presented a highlight reel, only the very best of what somebody can offer. And often those pictures that someone posts with filters have been scanned through to find the perfect picture, and unfortunately young people look at this as, commonplace and that this is what they need to attain. So it's really, really challenging. And in terms of eating disorders, so much, as Dr. Frank said, comes from the home. It's really important that parents start to model for their children their own healthy eating. Very often, young children, particularly girls, grow up listening to their own parents talk about how they look fat, and parents will comment about their child's appearance. So there's so many things that need to happen starting at the home in terms of creating healthy self-esteem.
Exactly. You and Dr. Frank had the same exact words. It all starts in the home. Dr. Frank Contessessa and Renee Exelbert, thank you so much for joining us in studio. Really, really appreciate your insight.
Thanks, Alex.